Hello, my name is Bjork.
The picking of the musicians was actually quite spontaneous. So the album kind of grew as over this kind of 1.5 year of the recordings, just as like almost like an improvisation. And just whatever turned me on would eventually work, because I think at the end of the day, the human being is, even though it looks like we're scatterbrained, picking 50 things, as long as you do it in the same year, I think it always has, if we like it or not, some sort of a connection. I was very trusting that the puzzles would just themselves fit together. And then you look back on it after 2 years or something, and it all makes sense, because your sort of subconscious was craving one particular thing, and there ends up actually being a huge connection between people that are as diverse as Konono #1 and Timbaland and Anthony Hegarty and Mark Bell and Brian Chippendale. The song I did with Timbaland was sort of a song where it sort of clicked. Timbaland was somebody that I met probably 11 years ago when he was expressing fascination with a song I'd done called Venus as a Boy, and was really excited about the Bollywood kind of strings and later recorded a song of mine, Yoga, and sampled it for a Missy Elliott track. And since then we sort of had been talks about collaboration, and never really happened, both probably pretty busy. And then in December 2005 I contacted him and said, well, maybe this is the time, you know, maybe for me I was just ready for some action. And he's like, yeah, this is the time. And yeah. So we ended up going into the studio in the beginning of February. Yep. I think afterwards, looking back on what we did together, I think maybe after sort of having mutual admiration over a period over 10 years, by the time we actually got into the studio together, we sort of, maybe we sort of knew a little bit what area, even though we're really, really different, opposite musicians, like what area we actually share, which is very, 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 very small, but it actually is an area though. And maybe it's a speculation that it's our love for the Silk Road, you know, of North African rhythms and Pakistan and India, and he has always sampled a lot of music from that area. And this kind of like no specific country, but tribal kind of
parachuters necessary this turmoil out there, carnage, rambling, what is to do?
Trying to suggest, or at least remind myself that there is some sort of solution to the situation today in the world that's sort of above and beyond religion and that it's like for example Earth Intruders, that I had this dream that a tsunami of people would just sort of take over the sort of the justice in the world. I mean, this is a very naive dream, but in the sort of, when you dream, you can't pick what you dream, you know. In New York, meeting with Timbaland there and walking into the studio, he playing this rhythm, and sort of a tsunami of words just coming out of my mouth and in a very chaotic way. And it was maybe based on this dream I had. So there is this kind of naive hope that there's some sort of balance going to be, all these billions that are starving and then the billions that are spent on warfare and, maybe we just have to drop this idea that we can actually separate us from nature and kind of be this kind of like perfect kind of humans that have nothing to do with nature. I'm not so sure it's such a good idea, and we just have to accept we are a human tribe and we can unite in some sort of a global beat. Pretty utopian fantasies, but I would be lying if I would say that there wasn't a pinch of this on this album.